Your neck of the woods would be absolutely upside down right now.
Yeah.
The Leafs actually hold a lead in the second round, and it's a 2-0 lead against the defending Stanley Cup champs. They are massive dogs tonight for a team up 2-0 in a series. What have you seen from the Leafs? What's different? Or is this just 2 games and a best of 7 doesn't mean anything?
No, it does mean something because I've seen a commitment to play the right way that I've never seen from this group before. And look, it starts by giving credit to the players because they're the ones that play and ultimately have to execute that game plan. But anybody that knows Craig Berube, he demands that you practice what he preaches. And he would have instilled that game. You just got to play straight line hockey. You have to forecheck. You have to go to the net. You have to defend, all those things from day one of training camp. But despite having some growing pains along the way at varying points of the regular season, nothing that was sustained, I still wondered whether or not this group had the intestinal fortitude to commit to playing that way in the playoffs. And, how does that manifest? And how do you see proof that they're willing to do that? Well, you see the proof when there's pushback. And there was pushback in the Battle of Ontario against Ottawa. And I remember, so the Leafs are leading the series after game 5, 3-2, but they lose game 5. And Berube comes out to the media, and probably 4 or 5 times in his media availability, he kept reminding, look, we lead this series by a game. We can end this series in game 6. And he obviously would have drilled that home in talking to his players after game 5. They come out and they dispatch the Ottawa Senators in 6. And then if you look at game 2 of the Florida series, Florida was way better in game 2 than they were in game 1. Toronto had its moments, but I wouldn't say that they had, wall-to-wall pressure, but they found a way to bounce back with the Nylander goal and then the Marner goal as well. So I like the fact that this team does deal with adversity a lot better than they have.
Mm. Yeah, that's fair. And look, what's impressed me the most, they're doing this with Joseph Woll, who has not played a ton and has had a really meh second half. Stolarz has been a sneaky MVP guy for that team, and that's a huge blow and was an easy chance for the momentum to swing right back to Florida. He's not even making the trip, but
is there any update there or what's?
No, the sense was this was Wednesday now, and I really haven't gotten an update. They've made it clear that he didn't make the trip to Florida. So that tells you he's not playing game 3 or game 4. But the message I got on Wednesday was that it was better than they maybe even expected. He was feeling better. You go from what he experienced in game 1, what we saw, him heaving over the boards into a bucket, and the symptoms got worse initially. They didn't get better. He's released from hospital, and then the next day feels pretty good. So as long as he stays on that trend, then they're hopeful that he could be available to them in game 5. But look, to go deep into the playoffs, you need 2 goalies. You do. You hope that it isn't necessarily injury that forces you into that. Mm-hmm. But I guess the flip side would be sketchy play by your starter, and that's not much better. Woll got thrown into a terrible situation in game 1, and he didn't respond. He wasn't very good. But they didn't have a choice, and I thought that he had a much better game. He was ready for game 2. So, look, what's wrong with him going, you know what? It's my crease. Doesn't matter to me when Anthony Stolarz is healthy. He's not getting this net back. I'm not giving him the crease back. And that has to be his mindset going into Florida tonight for games 3 and then obviously game 4.
Pickard situation. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Love you, brother. This is mine now.
What's the level of concern in Florida? Because that's a group that's done a lot of winning. That's not a young green group. Yeah. That's back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. They're very heavy favorites at home. Like, what's your Florida lens on this?
Well, so I always use Paul Maurice as a barometer, and I know Paul very, very, very well. We go back a long, long time. And we got the vintage Paul Maurice after game 1, where he's not laughing off a loss, but he's jovial. He's engaging with the media. He got a little bit sour when, one of the reporters came in like 10 minutes late and asked the Bennett question for the 4th time, but he was wordy and he was willing to explain what they're feeling and what he experienced. Not the case in game 2. He was a man of few words. And he subscribed to the theory less is more. I am not giving you more than I have to. I will answer your question, but we're getting out of here because we got a lot of work to do. And some of the line of questioning was around Bobrovsky and whether or not he has concern with his level of play. And obviously, he's going to defend his experienced star goaltender, but I would have concern with Sergei Bobrovsky. I mean, like a lot of players in the Florida lineup, he hasn't been good enough. I look at Matthew Tkachuk, and I expect Matthew Tkachuk to be a difference maker tonight. Just that pain in the ass Tkachuk sort of approach to the game. We haven't seen it yet, and we know why. Because he's not healthy. He's coming off of that serious groin injury, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody in the Leafs lineup tagged him in game 1, and you could just see he kind of winced and didn't hobble, but sort of like strained to get back into stride. So if he's ready for game 3 and game 4, then you know what you're getting from Barkov. That Marchand line, frankly, with Lois Storoinen and Lundell has been, for the most part, their top line, their best line, because Barkov has been more or less held in check by Toronto's top guys. So it starts with Tkachuk for me and how he kind of drags that group into the fight.
Hey, buddies, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.